Hello, Michael Osborne from 14th Street Studios and Famous and Gravy here. 14th Street Studios is the production house that creates Famous and Gravy. It's a production and consulting firm based here in Austin. We've started this video series to take listeners behind the scenes to talk a little bit about how Famous and Gravy came to be. I'd like to think that we're a success story that other creators can learn from. So if you have an idea for a podcast or you've got an existing show that you want to level up, send us an email. We'd love to talk. Today, I am going to talk about something that I find personally very uncomfortable. The question comes up a lot. Why gravy? What does gravy mean? Where did gravy come from? I'm going to bring you into my discomfort a little bit. Let me start by saying a few things. First of all, it is an imperfect title. We are consciously breaking a rule by stubbornly sticking to the title, Famous and Gravy. What exactly does it mean? If you know nothing else and you learn that that's the name of the podcast, it doesn't explain a whole hell of a lot, which means that the messaging of the show has to happen in all these other places. It needs to happen in the artwork, in the episode description, in the tagline, in the first, 3 minutes of the podcast. And we've put a lot of effort into all those other places. And the questions come up, should we change the title or not? Let me tell you a little bit about where the title came from, just to, check that box. So when Amit and I were first dreaming up the podcast, initially our title was Too Soon, and we even had a question mark. Too soon? Turns out there's a lot of other podcasts with that title, and it didn't really communicate that much. So one night, Amit and I are having a Tex-Mex dinner, and we're eating some chips and queso, and we're brainstorming, and I remembered this quote, the unexamined life is not worth living, which is a wonderful quote, and I threw that out there, unexamined life, maybe that's an idea, so Amit wrote that down on a napkin, and then it kind of got me thinking in this, lofty direction, I guess. And I remembered that there's this quote in Romeo and Juliet from the character Mercutio, who says, after he's stabbed by Tybalt, he says, "Ask for me tomorrow and you shall find me a grave man." This is Shakespeare being cute, right? That grave in this sense was foreshadowing because Mercutio ends up dying. But, when he's saying it, he's also grave, isn't serious. So I threw that quote at Amit and his face lit up and he went, "Famous and Gravy?" And he smiled to himself. And whenever Amit smiles to himself, I feel like we're on to something. I'm like, write that down on the napkin. So he wrote it down on the napkin. A few days later, I'm talking with my brother-in-law. I'm saying, we're struggling on title. I mentioned Famous and Gravy came up. He's like, oh, that's the one. And I was like, it is? He's like, yeah, I don't know what it means, but I want in. Kind of been writing on that ever since. It is cryptic. It does not tell you what this podcast is. Nobody is looking at the word gravy and thinking, oh, grave, death, dead, fame, celebrity. I get it now. Nobody's putting those things together, and I'm pretty aware of that. I do think the title is clever combination of words, maybe. Like there is something kind of sticky about the title, Famous and Gravy. We have polled the audience. We've asked people, should we change the title of this podcast? And I've been surprised at how many people are like, no, you got to keep the title. At this point, it's really working for me. The downside of it is that this does not tell you what this show is about. The upside of the title, though, is that I think people have come to define it for themselves. It gives power to the listener for them to reach their own conclusions. If you are putting together a show, you have to consider the listener acquisition funnel. I've seen this figure from Jeremy Enns, shout out to Jeremy, I think he's brilliant, where all of these things matter. What is the artwork? What is the title? What is the episode description? What happens in the first 3 minutes? And each one of these is an off-ramp. So this is a risky thing to keep the title Famous and Gravy, and we're sort of aware of that. But I don't know, I guess there's this idea out there that you have to be aware of the rules before you break them, and in this case, we're breaking that rule. So, thanks for listening to this episode. Check out the other videos in the series and hope to see you next time.